Do I probe into your private life? Do I talk behind your back? Do I go rummaging around in your desk?
All the time.
Well, I was probably on a case.
Ian, you blood-sucking leechette. Do you think we can be trusted now?
No, Dragon Lady, you cannot.
It's been that many episodes. The final one we're on now. Surely the listeners can trust us now.
I wouldn't say so.
Why not?
Well, we don't know what we're doing.
No, that's true.
It's been evident for 41
Speak for yourself.
shows.
Speak for yourself. How are things?
Not too bad, Jerry. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. It's an emotional night for us tonight. It's an emotional episode.
Yeah. I mean, we've got one more wrap-up show to go, but this is the last Sledgehammer.
Yeah, we've had a weekly dose of it. It's been fun over these last few months, spending a half hour per week with David Rashi and crew.
Yes, and they've been very entertaining.
I'm going to miss it.
Definitely, you can watch it whenever you want, though.
No, that's true. But I like to chat about it. I like to dissect it. I'll probably just listen to these episodes again, over and over.
What, our episodes?
Yeah.
I heard that you do that. I know you drive around in your car listening to yourself.
That's the thing. It's quite embarrassing. I come out the car park and I'll often listen to an episode through for quality control purposes.
Sure.
Because there was one time in the Columbo podcast where I forgot to put clips in and there was just big gaps and silences. So I now make a point of just playing it. It's only 25 minutes, 30 minutes. But it's odd when you drive up and there's a parking attendant. I roll down my window to put my card in the machine and, I talk to him every day. And he hears me.
Yes.
And me sort of smiling and laughing at myself.
Do your children recognise you on the radio?
Yeah, but they tell me to put it off.
Really?
Yeah. The wife does.
Oh dear.
Get this crap off, she says.
That's what all the listeners are saying right now.
You're a weirdo. Okay, cheers. Thanks for the support.
That's it. Got your back there.
Anyway, enough about me. Anything you want to do or say? It's not even worthwhile, is it now, asking people to...
No, everyone knows the drill. If they haven't subscribed or rated the show by now, they're unlikely to.
Fancy beginning this week?
Just the usual technique.
Summary?
Yeah.
Crack on.
In Here's to You, Mrs. Hammer, Sledge faces an awkward reunion when he discovers his best friend from high school is set to marry his ex-wife. For once, he is forced to consider his future and the people he wants to share it with. For a time he struggles to deal with the emotional impact of his discovery. But as the former Mrs. Hammer walks down the aisle, can Sledge figure out the changes he needs to make? Or is it already too late?
Thank you, Ian. The interrogation room. That's where we begin this week. It's an odd scene.
It starts off with a black screen. All the best movies start with a black screen.
Yeah, it's a more muted opening than usual. Before we see a suspect, a tobber.
Yeah, a torch lights his face, and it turns out that Hammer's interrogating him about the voodoo murders while Mayjoy changes the light bulb.
Yeah, we think it's some sort of interrogation device,
Yeah.
but it's not.
No. I loved the doll that looked exactly like the man.
Do you think it was the same people who made the hammer doll?
I was just thinking that there, possibly, but I love the fact they had the same outfit on and everything. It was great.
Dory is in the room also. This tobber is denying any knowledge of these murders until Dory picks up this doll that looks just like him, as you said, and apparently it was found in the victim's apartment.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's how voodoo works. It's not only a doll of yourself, unless he's making the doll. Does the doll mimic him as well as him mimicking the doll?
No, you would normally have a doll that looks like your victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have your own doll.
Exactly. How does this work?
It doesn't work.
It's
Garbage.
This is his calling card.
Could be. It's a terrible call. Worse than the wet bandits or the sticky bandits.
Just leave a photo of yourself with your autograph.
Tobber looks worried, however. Although Sledge insists that the doll has nothing to do with anything, it's all voodoo and malarkey.
Yeah, but yes, the suspect acts out whatever they do to the doll.
Yeah, it was nice physical comedy, I thought.
It was good, especially when they hold it by the leg and the actor's clearly struggling to get his leg up in the, or at least playing as if he's struggling to get his leg up in the position they hold the doll. It's quite amusing.
Dory tells Sledge that Tobber has the right to a lawyer, and As Sledge insults the parasitic profession, the brief himself enters.
Yes, it's a friend of Sledge's.
He recognises him as Scott Grable, an old friend from high school.
Yes, but not one he's ever told Dory about.
No, Sledge hasn't told Dory too much about his background at all.
No. He's always said it's deliberate. He doesn't want to get emotions in the way of his police work.
Grable has arranged bail for Tauber, but does accept Sledge's offer of a drink, and Sledge tosses the doll into the trash as he leaves.
Yeah, as they open the door, Tauber himself is in a bin that happened to be passing by.
Over to the bar, and as a game of table air hockey takes place, Sledge tells Dory about how Grable helped him with his studies at school. Now, how did Sledge return the favour?
Well, he protected him from hoodlums, essentially.
Yes, specifically, I think he said that he got a gang to return the steering wheel of Grable's dad's car.
Very kind of him.
They were a team, brains and brawn.
And Dory says that's how they're described as well.
What does Sledge shoot?
Well, it's the puck off the air hockey table, or the disc, whatever you want to call it. Mayjoy knocks it up in the air and Sledge shoots it down.
We then see Captain Trunk appear.
We do.
Sledge has got a new toy.
He's installed the police radio into his jacket. So while he's talking to Sledge, the call comes in and he takes it and he says he'll take Scott with him for a sort of ride along.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this before. You can't just put civilians in the back of a car when you're going to an actual crime, mate. Fair enough if it's you're just going on a tour, as it were.
I'm not sure. I've seen documentaries where there's journalists in the back of the car.
Yeah,
Reality shows and
they
so
would
on.
have signed all sorts of disclaimers.
And I think in Breaking Bad, Hank takes Walter early on for a ride.
In that case, then,
That's, one of the leading shows of all time, so it must be true.
only ever watched episode 1.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. There were a couple of the characters they got on my nerves.
Yeah.
Anyhow, Hammer and Grable leave. And Trunk and Dory seem pleased for Sledge that he's got a friend.
Certainly do. Trunk comments that he hasn't seen Sledge so happy since when?
The first time he got to identify a criminal's body. Why do the police get to identify criminals' bodies? Surely the family would do that.
Yeah, officially, but the cop, if you know the criminals on the
that's
street...
the guy he was chasing. Or
that's Big Jack, the known whatever.
Yeah.
Dory suggests that Grable simply brings Sledge back to a time before he got so callous.
And Trunk doesn't think that's true at all. He thinks he was born callous.
That's not correct, is it?
No, it's nurture, not nature.
Sledge's apartment. He and Grable are looking through some old yearbooks.
Yes. Did you like his clock?
That was... What clock was that?
The one on the wall that showed you right at the start of the scene.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I did like it, but I can't remember.
Had guns on the hands.
Yes. They're reminiscing about old times.
Yeah, the athletics club, I think, was one of the ones that came up. Sledge was the official starter, so he could get to fire a gun.
I think all of these photographs have Sledge in holding some sort of firearm.
Yeah.
They then discuss a certain girl in a picture.
Whoa, big trouble. Susan Hilton? She was the most miserable, self-centered, nagging killer witch in the whole school. Ooh.
Why'd you marry her?
Well, she was my high school sweetheart. It was expected of me, I think.
Marriage shouldn't be done because other people expect it. Marriage should be done by two people who are in love with each other, want to make their lives complete.
Being a lawyer has put a blindfold on your brain, old buddy. Some things are made in heaven, but marriage is made in hell.
Well, I hope you're wrong, because I'm getting married.
What?
Getting married.
You're kidding.
To a wonderful lady that I'm in love with very much, and I want you to be happy for me.
Well, happy? I'm happy. Sure, I'm happy. I'm happier than the day they legalized hollow point bullets.
Great.
Great. Good. Well, when do I get to meet your future battle axe?
Well, I don't know.
How about tomorrow night? I'll bring Duro along and we can make it a real party.
I guess so. Gotta go, Sledge.
Oh, really? Oh, that's too bad.
It's nice seeing Sledge being genuinely affectionate and not shy in showing it.
Yeah, his friend doesn't seem quite as into him as he is into his friend.
That's true. It seems a little odd that his friend is going to spring this announcement.
I think it's a
on
horrible thing to do to somebody.
without any
It's
warning.
cruel. It's
Yeah.
not what a friend would do.
In public, in front of other people. I mean, he doesn't know Dory, doesn't know how Dory reacts.
Nope.
I mean, we can get to who she is, but it's a...
I mean, I suppose you can understand in a way, do it in public, you can't go too crazy. But it's not very nice.
No.
I think also Sledge has got a better handle on what marriage is than Scott does.
Yeah, you think?
Oh, I think Scott's idea is quite romanticised, isn't it? Sort of storybook marriages where everybody
He's about to
falls in love and lives happily ever after.
He's about to get married. You wouldn't want him to be cynical on the eve of his wedding.
You know, there may well be some practical considerations coming into his marriage as well.
Brilliant, Ian. Fantastic. Great attitude. As Grable goes to leave, we see it's a genuine, vulnerable side to Sledge. And I think he appreciates the friendship that he once had, or has.
Well, I think it's just that sort of human connection that he doesn't really have with anybody except maybe Dory and Trunk. I liked his line. As Scott was leaving, he said it was great seeing you, even though we are on opposite sides of the law. They're obviously not on opposite sides of the law in theory.
Well, yeah, he's a defence. He's trying to keep bad guys out of prison. Sledge is trying to put them in there.
He's not trying to keep them out of prison, he's trying to get them a fair trial.
Yeah, but you can see how a defence lawyer would be considered to be.
Maybe.
In any case, after Grable has left, Sledge talks to his amigo.
Yeah. It's quite sad, actually.
Yeah, he says Grable's a great guy. He's a little bit like a puppy here, isn't he?
I think he's quite emotional.
Mm-hmm. It's the next day. We're in Sledge's car.
Yeah, he's recovered a bit of his facade.
And he refuses to listen to Dory when she suggests that Grable might have changed his opinions on the legal profession.
Yeah, no, he doesn't think that's true at all.
They then get a call over the radio about a burglary.
This was a real throwback to some of the stuff we saw in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
With the chasing of the suspect through the streets and then the comical takedown.
Describe this takedown.
He borrows from, I think, a young person standing at the street corner a bowling ball and takes the guy down by bowling. And you get sort of the tracking shot of the bowling ball as it rolls along the street and takes down this fellow who turns out to be the same guy from the day before.
Tauber.
Yeah.
He apparently was robbing the store in order to pay Grable's fees.
Yes. He says, "All right, Vermin, that was a strike," and then tries to recommend Scott as a lawyer because he's obviously helping out his pal there, but as it turns out, the guy knows who Scott is all along. We skip ahead to the meal in the restaurant.
And as they wait on Grable's fiancée arriving, Sledge comments to Dory and Grable himself that it doesn't appear to be a typical Italian restaurant.
That's right.
Why not?
There's no picture, he says not one single picture of the owner shaking hands with Frank Sinatra.
He then remembers that this place was his ex's favourite joint, and Grable says that his fiancée actually chose it.
Yes, he does.
Now, at this point, the fiancée arrives, and Sledge immediately pulls out his gun.
Jumps to his feet. He's very upset.
Now, why would that be?
Because Scott's marrying his ex-wife.
Oh. Now, that's what we indicated there. That's what we alluded to earlier. You don't spring this revelation on a man in this way.
No.
He could have, if he didn't want to do it face to face because he's embarrassed or scared or feeling awkward, you can do it by phone. You can.
The whole thing seems designed to upset Sledge because they had no contact previously. Because when they met in the cell, it was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
And we assumed that was a chance meeting. But all of a sudden now, they're best buddies. He's having Sledge over for dinner. He's going to ask him to be his best man. It's all a little bit contrived and weird.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the relationship is being pushed by Sledge himself. So Grable is at the station on work. It's Sledge who insists that they go for a ride along and they go for drinks.
Yep.
It's then Sledge in his apartment who insists that they all go out and he meets the fiancée. So Grable wasn't going to do this.
You don't think so?
Well, he wasn't going to. Grable would not have been picking up the phone and inviting them all out for a meal.
You don't think he would have made contact with Sledge at all?
May have, yes, but he wouldn't have invited them out for a meal.
Yeah.
So I can understand.
He's maybe just felt it's a tough spot. He doesn't know how to handle it.
But still,
he still should have said something
before
first.
something, saying, "Listen." When Sledge says we need to go, I need to meet her. We need to go out tomorrow for a meal.
Yeah.
At that point, he should have said, "Listen, Sledge, something I need to tell you here."
Yeah, or if he was going to chicken out, phone him when he gets home.
Well, that's what I said, yeah. But there should have been a warning here. They can't just meet face to face.
It's not fair.
It's not fair at all.
No.
So she arrives, and after he puts away his gun, he storms out.
He makes to leave the restaurant, and she goes after him.
Sledge? I thought running out was what brain-dead commies did.
We got nothing to say to each other, dragon lady. You suckered my best friend into marrying you, and it makes me want to throw up. So how have you been?
You look tired, Sledge. Too many all-night stakeouts, too much coffee, too much violence, too little affection.
Hey, the same old Susie Q, huh? Trying to make my hard edges soft.
Not soft, Sledge. Human. You've heard of human, haven't you? It means warm, tender.
You just described a good steak. Now beat it, will you?
Let's let the past be the past. We were lousy as man and wife, but maybe we can be pretty good as friends. If you're willing to be mature. Think about it.
Mature, huh? How's that for mature?
On listening to that, Ian, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think that it's quite revealing. After the initial outburst and reaction, he's perfectly civil and reasonable.
Yeah.
And my own view is that deep down, Sledge knows that he was probably the most to blame for the marriage breakdown, because we know how he acts. He must have been really hard to live with, his attitudes.
Sure.
So I think he probably understands it's actually all his own fault, and I think that little bit of dialogue there, it shows that, because if you really dislike someone, you really hate them because you think that they have been in the wrong, they've really done wrong to you, you don't become all civil straight away with them. And so I think he's put up that defence where he calls her the dragon lady and he hates his ex-wife, but actually he hates himself.
Yeah, he maybe has created a caricature of her in the stories that he tells people and in his own mind to kind of protect him from having to address the fact that he's maybe responsible or largely responsible for the breakdown of his marriage.
Over to Trunk's office. Dory is telling Trunk what happened and claiming that she's never seen Sledge so scared before.
Yeah, and Trunk is outraged at the terrible corny line that Sledge used.
What was that?
That's no lady, that's my ex-wife.
Now, as they're having this discussion, Sledge walks in and notices that they're talking about him. And he says that he expected Dory to blab as she was a woman, but is shocked at Trunk.
Yeah, but Trunk rightly points out that they are concerned about him. He's their friend. But they were kind of gossiping. We heard at the top of the show, actually, what Hammer says about the rummaging around in his desk and so on.
Yeah, I thought that was a great line.
I like that.
Sledge loses it when Dory says that he should be celebrating. Now he has no ex-wife, no alimony.
Yeah, probably in a rational moment will be pleased about that. Daly comes in and interrupts him. Hammer's getting upset. You can see he's actually emotional here. And Daly explains that this suspect is once again being released to his lawyer, and Hammer is going to go and do something about it over at reception.
Yeah, he says he does want to celebrate.
That's while he's being emotional. He makes a fuss about, he'll celebrate in his own way and so on.
Dory looks concerned.
She always looks concerned.
So over to the front desk.
Yeah, Scott's there, obviously getting his man out, and he and Hammer have this obviously over-the-top argument because of other things, not because of this particular issue.
Yes, so he approaches Tauber and Grable and addresses them both as dirtballs before fighting over whether Tauber should be released or not.
Yeah. In the course of the argument, Scott asks him to be his best man and wants him to come to the stag do and so on. And he starts talking about his real amigo and embarrassing himself, essentially.
Trunk appears and shouts at them both, and Sledge denies that he is annoyed at Grable for being with his ex.
Grable invites Trunk to the stag do and he's still yelling when he accepts. He's like, yes! And then as he's leaving, Mayjoy begs for a chance to come along to the stag do as well.
Yeah, he pleads, he does beg.
It's quite sad.
He won't have any friends.
He is a pathetic character, Mr. Mayjoy.
He is extremely pathetic.
The stag do itself is a sad affair.
Yeah, there's poker and beer and cigars and toast. It's all very cliched and
artificial fun. It's
Yeah.
almost like compulsory fun. It's like, you will attend this and enjoy yourself. I would have hated that.
Sledge sits alone before insisting to Mayjoy that he is having a great time. We cut over to the bar where Susan and Dory are having a quieter night.
Yeah, Susan's invited Dory. She wants to talk to her. She obviously recognises her as someone that is close to Sledge.
Yes, she says that she knows Sledge respects her. Dory's surprised, but Susan proves it by producing a letter.
Yeah, it wasn't the most glowing of terms in the letter, but in Sledge's way, that was him making it clear that he has time for Dory.
We then hear some of the problems that Sledge and Susan had in their marriage, and we discover why and what she's worried about.
You know, Sledge, he can't relate to a woman, but I found that kind of fun at first. He sort of brought out the tomboy in me. We used to arm wrestle and shoot guns, drive fast. But he never once told me I was beautiful. Never allowed a tender moment to stay tender. It grew tiresome. I had to move on.
Yeah. Sledge will never change. I've tried to talk to him. He doesn't listen. I really feel sorry for him sometimes.
Then try harder. Explain to him that if he doesn't change, he's always going to remain just what he is.
A nihilist.
Alone.
Susan leans on Dory here. She wants her to try a bit harder to kind of get into Sledge's life, I think, or to help him. Why she cares, I'm not entirely sure.
I think that supports my point earlier on. She doesn't seem to be a bad person. The witch that Sledge, she does seem to genuinely, even at a time when she should be thinking about other people, other things, or her husband, she still has enough tenderness, enough niceness, nicety in her to be considerate and thinking about her ex-husband, who she knows is quite obviously emotionally fragile.
Yeah, and speaking of emotionally fragile, back at the stag do,
What happens?
a woman in a bikini bursts out of a giant cake, and Sledge just, for him, it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back. He just arrests everybody.
Yeah, he fires his gun and says he's taking everyone downtown. So that's where we head back to the precinct. And Sledge struggles to remember what rights to read.
Yes, he's trying to Mirandize them, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he just says that he'll use anything they say against him. And Dory and Susan show up while he's doing this.
Yeah.
In fact, no, before Dory and Susan
Trunk's
show up, Trunk,
raging.
this is the last time we hear from Trunk in the series, so we should probably mention it.
Okay.
He points out to Hammer that he's the boss, and therefore, why has he arrested him? And he's got his handcuffs on. And Sledge says he can't have favourites.
Sledge says he can't play favourites, but Trunk says, yeah, but you could have called for a paddy wagon rather than walk them downtown.
He's done this before with suspects. Remember the guy he had on the outside of his car and he drove him round the side of the city and back?
Yeah. Susan and Dory do appear, and Susan puts Sledge in his place.
She's much less compassionate now, isn't she? She punches him in the face.
I think she realises that perhaps a short, sharp shock is what's required.
Well, he's clearly wallowing. He's feeling sorry for himself, and he's taking it out on other people who just want to be happy.
Yeah, she calls him pathetic. She mocks that he talks to his gun and reminds him that it was her who dumped him.
Yep. And I can't remember exactly what she says, but she tells him he's done something terrible. Was it about Trunk? Oh no, it's arresting Scott and his stag do. And Trunk says it's not like I ruined his credit rating or anything, which is a nice little zinger to throw back at her in the middle of that melee.
We head over to Sledge's apartment and Dory's there with him. He's in an awful way.
Well, she took him out of the station, took him home, and she's trying to look after him, but he's not really taking it in.
Well, I disagree that he's not taking it in, because as we discover shortly, that
he's not showing her that he's taking it in. He's not responding the way that she was hoping.
Yeah, there is this tender and revealing exchange as Dory tries to reason with our hero.
You're being really selfish. I think you should just be happy for them.
I don't believe this. Two people who have been a major part of my life are ripping my guts out, and you want me to smile about it?
It's not what I meant.
Look, Jerome. Now with Scott and Susan gone, that's two more people who have found each other. all I ever find is clues. For the first time in my life, I'm starting to think that maybe I'm going to spend the rest of my life alone. There I'll be a 70-year-old man, alone, unable to shoot my gun, unable to shoot my gun.
You got me?
Yeah, right. You'll leave too.
Not if you don't want me to. Sledge, let me into your life.
Come on, beat it, Jerome.
You know, the best thing you could do right now is to go to that wedding. It might give you a slice of real life.
I'd rather be dead.
I'm afraid you already are.
I think forcing him to go to the wedding is another act of cruelty. There's no reason for him to be there.
No, there isn't. It's not traditional. Well, I was going to say it's not traditional to turn up at your ex's new wedding, but I suppose it is his best friend's wedding also.
Yeah, but these are two people who are moving away from him, essentially.
But they don't want to be moving away from him. She said herself, she thinks they can be friends. I mean, it's not. This isn't a rawness right after a breakup. You know, there's been years, so there's no. You know,
maybe, but he only just had 2 days to deal with this.
That's true.
It's not fair to then say, like, you know, you've had since Wednesday. It's now Thursday, so get over it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. But that clip we heard there, I mean, it's certainly the rawest and the most exposed we've heard Sledge be about himself.
Yeah, Dory doesn't really fight, though, for what she wants. She says, you know, I'll be there if you want me to be there, and he's like, no, you won't, beat it. And she just goes.
Yeah, maybe she thinks that she said all she can, it'd be futile to push it any further.
She should be getting him drunk and getting all his feelings out.
Yeah, it doesn't really, well, champagne.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Dory leaves, and then we have a dramatic scene. Did you see this coming?
No.
What did you think? It's first time watching this.
So
let's
it starts off with he's trying to convince himself, you know, it's 60's gun, it's you and me, you'll never leave me.
Okay, so far, right, so let's just spend a little bit of time on this. Dory leaves, he pulls out his amigo.
Yeah, I think he's trying to force this.
Talks to it as you would expect, as we've seen many times.
Yep. He's not buying it.
No. What happens next?
Well, he says, he kind of breaks down a little bit to you're all I've got, and then, as if that's a terrible thing, launches the gun across the room. Well, hopefully with the safety on.
Oh, well, he fired. I don't think it makes any difference. He's always firing in that apartment anyway. Yeah, you say as if it's a terrible thing. Of course it's a terrible thing. At that precise moment...
if he realises it's a terrible thing.
Yes, at that precise moment, he realises he's talking to a gun and a piece of metal is all he has in his life, and he throws this across the apartment. Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think deep down he probably always knew that anthropomorphising this gun was covering for something.
Again, following on to what we said earlier, I think, yes, we're now seeing that this character is all just a facade. It has just been built as a self-defence mechanism.
Yeah. It protects himself. Yeah, it's an exterior thing that folk can bounce off of and they don't get near to him.
Mm-hmm. Now, what I'd like to say, or what I'd like to point out is that I think in this episode, for a comedy show, this is why it's different from, say, Police Squad, Naked Gun type things. It was never went any deeper than the superficial level.
Yeah.
But with this, in this particular episode, and these scenes, it's created a far fuller, more human character, and it shows it's not just the buffoon.
Yeah,
and
absolutely
the character above it. I think it's a testament to David Rashi for pulling it off, because I think you watch it and you go, actually, do you know what? I feel for him there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
And for that, in this type of show, with this type of comedy, you'd hardly ever see that. It'd be very rare to get that sort of emotion in this type of show. So, well done.
Yeah, absolutely. Fast forward to the wedding.
The church, yes. Just as the gathered well-wishers are asked if anyone has a reason why Susan and Grable should not be married, Sledge bursts in through the doors.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as dramatic as it could have been, because he's never expressed any feeling that they shouldn't be married.
No, but you're suspecting that something is going to happen here that...
You might just shoot them all.
Yeah, maybe not that.
That would be a twist.
The place falls silent And we have a showdown score.
Yeah, and he does this sort of limp thing that I think that's affected.
It's a cowboy limp for
Yeah.
a start. But it does explain why
Okay.
in a moment.
Well, he says he's not got his gun.
Yeah. So for his entire life, really, this gun has been... I think it's a feeling that he's missing a limb, as it were.
Okay.
That's how I took it anyway.
I thought he was just doing sort of a cowboy limp, like a Wild West style.
No, I think he doesn't know how to walk without his gun.
All right, okay. When he tells Dory he doesn't have his gun, her face...
We've not even got there yet. So what happens?
Oh, he tells him to get on with it.
Yeah, we're waiting for him to say something, antagonistic.
Yeah.
And he just quips, get on with it, and everyone is relieved and the tension is gone, and he sits down beside Dory.
Yes.
So what happens when he tells Dory he doesn't have his gun?
Well, he says he's being respectful for once. He's not brought his gun to the church. And her jaw just falls open and she looks absolutely shocked.
As we know, Sledge showers with his gun.
Yes.
He sleeps with his gun.
He does.
He cooks with his gun.
Everything.
Yes, he's not without his gun. And in the episodes where we have the one in particular when it was stolen from him, he became a physical wreck.
Although he didn't limp. But he had another gun.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
The wee tiny one.
She tells him that he has made the right decision.
And we get to the epilogue.
Another emotional scene. We're at the bar. And Dory tells him he's lucky that Trunk knows what he was going through, or else he would have been in big trouble for pulling the stunt at the stag party.
And I think, again, this is good. This shows the relationship between Trunk and Sledge. He's not wanting him arrested or shot or jailed or anything.
Sure. But Sledge, he brushes this aside because he has other, more dramatic and potentially life-changing things on his mind.
Duro, since I went to that wedding, I've come to kind of a realization. I've given this a lot of thought. I don't want to live my life alone. I want a living, breathing human being to share my life with. The good times and the bad. So, this isn't an easy thing for me to ask, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Will you marry me?
Are you serious?
No.
I don't think Dory's in any doubt that he's serious.
It was quite clearly serious.
Even when he says no, it wasn't a sort of flippant no and then do something ridiculous. He was still serious.
Without a doubt. Now, where this leads or where this ends up, I think is something we can leave for our podcast finale next week when we can discuss the futures of Sledge and the other characters.
Good idea. That was my favourite line, that exchange at the end, I would say. But it wasn't the funniest line, obviously.
No, it wasn't a hugely comedic episode this week, which I
There was some
appreciated.
good stuff.
There was some very good stuff. But there have been episodes, I think we've mentioned before, I think Play It Again, Sledge.
Mm-hmm.
And
More
so,
serious, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't feel it's necessary to throw in all the... It knows that it can rely on the good writing, the drama, the characterisation, the emotional investment people have with these people.
Yeah.
I think it feels confident in relying on that.
Sure.
But yeah, there were still some great lines, which we can talk about when we get to the production information and trivia.
Still, I thought it was a very good episode and a nice way or a very good way to finish the series.
Yeah, it's certainly up there with any of the best episodes for different reasons.
Yeah.
It's a fitting way to bring the curtain down.
And it clearly was intended to be the final episode of the show. It's not like they're waiting for a season 3 here.
No, I mean, could they just reboot? We've seen that before. So let's say the network come back and says, "Great news, guys! We've got season 3."
Yeah.
I think they could have just rebooted it. I mean,
or they could just carry on as if, she took his no seriously and moved on.
Yeah, and just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Do you think? Oh, well, maybe we'll chat about that next week. I
Yeah.
suppose. Right. Okay. Some production information.
Okay.
February the 12th, 1988 was the original air date. It was directed by Bill Bixby, obviously for the final time. 8 episodes in total he has been involved with. Mert Rich and Brian Pollock were the writing team, and again, final episode with 10 in the bag.
Nice round number.
Guest stars. Heather Lupton, or maybe Lupton, played Susan Hilton. Now, Ian, this is her only credit.
Alright.
Do you think there was a chemistry between her and Sledge?
There's certainly some kind of dynamic there.
There should be, because she is in fact the real-life Mrs. Hammer. She's been married to David Rashi since 1980 and they have 3 children.
Still happily married today.
As far as I know.
That's a long time.
It is. But I think that was brave as well, bringing in someone who had no acting experience. You would not have noticed.
No, she did fine. How much must she have enjoyed getting to punch him in the face?
A lot. But yeah, that was nice, I thought.
Sure.
Michael Coffin played Scott Grable. He was born in 1950. He has been in The Guardian, Nixon, Home Improvement, Party of Five, LA Law, and Desperately Seeking Susan. Christopher Jackson played Dominic Tauber. He unfortunately died in 2013, aged just 52. Previously known for National Lampoon's Vacation, Harlem Nights, and Police Academy 2. 3 of my favourite movies.
You must be a big fan of his then.
Yeah. Must admit, I think it must have been minor roles, didn't recognise him. Well, one of those faces I sort of recognise, but minor character actor.
Right.
Harlem Nights, a good movie. Underrated. I think a lot of people think that it's a bit of a flop.
Okay.
Bit of a failure, but worth a rewatch. Really enjoyable. That's Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor. Okay, some trivia other than Heather Lupton. The title obviously was a play on Mrs. Robinson by Simon and Garfunkel. There was a mention, now I don't think we brought it up during the podcast, but Peter Holm was mentioned during the episode.
Okay.
He was a Swedish pop star and ex-husband of Joan Collins. Now they went through an acrimonious divorce and after that was known as a greedy and parasitic chancer, and at the time he was a joke figure. So all the sort of topical news shows and sketches of the day would be...
That's something we've seen a fair bit in the series, particularly season 2, I think, where they make very topical jokes, which makes it obviously harder for them or those particular jokes to age.
Sure. Although I think a lot of the time you can understand in terms of the context what this person must have been like.
Maybe just substitute your own contemporary figure of fun.
It would be easy to do.
Yes.
So, favourite lines now. I think you've already mentioned yours.
Well, I like the line, the closing exchange. In terms of a comedic line, I did like the one about being on opposite sides of the law.
I am also going for a more non-comedic moment this week. It's when he throws the gun across the room.
That had a bit of pathos, didn't
It
it?
stands out for me. If I was going for a comedy line, it would be it was in the first clip about, you've just described a good steak.
That was good. In fact, my favourite, if you're getting thrown the gun, my favourite moment was when the guy ended up in the bin at the start. That was brilliant.
Sure.
In fact, everything with that doll was perfect.
It was
my
fun,
favourite guest star of this series.
Okay, next week, the final Sledgecast podcast episode
Ever.
It's
now far too late to submit questions because we recorded this many weeks before you're listening to this particular episode. But we will be answering fan questions. We'll be looking at the future of the characters and maybe a couple of hints about the future for you and I.
Yeah, I think we can also have a chat about Alan Spencer. We'll drop in
And the comics.
And the comics. Well, that's us then. Until next week,
Yeah, cheerio.
put your pants on.